All right, what a game. Holy smokes. The Utah Jazz, the Sacramento Kings. Let's talk about it. It's the Hoops Nerd Utah Jazz post-game show. Guys, I got to recover from that. That was intense. I'm still that was intense. That was playoff style basketball. Really, that's a game where you have two teams that are starting the season and want to get off on the right track. I really was impressed with the Kings' intensity in this game. They brought it to the Jazz. Let's talk about the Kings first. We'll talk about the Jazz second. This is a Kings team that does have some promise. They have some young, nice players that I think are really interesting. Tonight we got a chance to see Davion Mitchell versus Donovan Mitchell for the first time, and it was quite the show. I really like Rashawn Holmes. That was a signing they got a few years ago, and he gets the new contract, and he earned it because he's a solid guy. Tonight he only plays 17 minutes, but when he was on the floor, he was impactful. But he had 10 rebounds, 6 points. He was a +7 for the game. It was really just kind of foul trouble for him that kept him off the floor. He ended up fouling out of the game. But I've always liked Rashawn Holmes, and when they made that signing a few years ago, they got him for not much, and you knew that guy was going to be good. And the Kings, to their credit, have turned him into a nice starting NBA center. Harrison Barnes is just a beast. He had that awesome game in game one against Portland, and tonight he just keeps it going. Tonight he was 25 points, 15 rebounds, absolutely monster stuff from Barnes, and he was just taking what was coming to him. He had like a few moments where he had like Mike Conley on him, and he just shot over top of him. That guy's just a baller, and this Kings team has a chance to be really solid when they play like they did tonight. They've got some interesting choices they've got to make throughout the year. I think they're head scratcher for me. And Kings fans, let me know in the comments why or what's going on with it. But Terence Davis starts for the Sacramento Kings, and he plays 19 minutes. And you know what? I don't really understand it. Maybe it's because, you need him for the size or whatever. I'm just not that familiar with Terence Davis, like at all. And he plays for 19 minutes. Davion Mitchell comes off the bench and plays for 31. Sometimes I'm like, just play your best guys. And if that means, Harrison Barnes at the forward, Tyrese Halliburton at small forward, De'Aaron Fox and Davion Mitchell starting, then why not play them together or play them more? Because Davion Mitchell came into this game and he was fantastic. His defense is game-changing. The offense kind of has to catch up. And I wonder if right now he's just putting so much intensity onto the defensive end that maybe he's just not quite acclimated offensively yet. But Davion Mitchell, if his offense is even remotely solid tonight he was just 1 for 8 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3. But that defense was crazy. 4 steals tonight, and there were times where he really was locking up on Donovan Mitchell. It was impressive to watch. Donovan Mitchell sometimes goes against some of these smaller guards that guard guards really well. And there were times where he just was unbelievable in guarding Donovan Mitchell. You have to be impressed because Donovan Mitchell is a superstar in this league, and at times he locked him up. Donovan Mitchell got him a couple times as well. And Donovan Mitchell, we'll talk about what he did because Donovan Mitchell was fantastic tonight and deserves just a ton of praise. But Davion Mitchell, they've got something nice in him. If he's like a sixth man, sometimes you look at the sixth man as like a guy that comes off the bench, like a Jordan Clarkson as a scoring guy. Maybe Davion Mitchell is a sixth man that comes in as defense, It's like the opposite. He's like the Rudy Gobert guard defensive player. Who knows? I actually think he'll be a nice scoring guard, with time. But the intensity he plays with on the defensive end is unbelievable. And so if he can play with that intensity on the defensive end every night, while also being efficient on the offensive end, he's like a better version of Patrick Beverly or something like that. We'll see. But what we saw tonight was special defensively, especially for a guy who's a rookie. I mean, really, really impressive stuff. Ethan Day, welcome to Rookie. I don't think last year's team would have won this game. This was an impressive win. I agree, Ethan. And welcome to Rookie, Ethan, bringing that intensity on the defensive end like Davion Mitchell. Welcome to the channel, Ethan. I appreciate it. I don't have a lot else to say for the Kings. I mean, Buddy Hield is just the same. He is what you expect. Took 15 3-pointers tonight, and that's great because he made 6 of them. That's 40%. He's just one of the best shooters in the NBA. Honestly, a top 10 shooter in the league. Buddy Hield just makes threes. That's what he does. He's incredible at it. You just have to respect that 3-point shot. That's what he does. And it was impressive. 9 for 21 from the field, but 6 for 15 from 3. 24 points from Buddy Hield. Really, really solid. That's all you can ask for, honestly, from Buddy Hield. He did what he does. All right, before we move on, let's talk about manscaped.com. Do you know what's spookier than seeing a black cat on Halloween? It's shaving your balls with anything other than Manscaped. When it comes to below-the-waist grooming, there's no need to carve your pumpkins this Halloween because Manscaped is here to upgrade your grooming experience. Go from the bite-sized candy bar to a king-sized candy bar and join the 2 million men worldwide by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code HoopsNerd20, HoopsNerd20, guys. Unlock your confidence with the Performance Package 4.0. Inside, you'll find the holy grail of men's grooming items. They've made it easy for you to upgrade your grooming routine. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code HoopsNerd20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code HoopsNerd20 at manscaped.com. Say trick or treat to your beautiful new Halloweeny with Manscaped. Guys, it'll save you 20% off. It supports the channel. I really appreciate it. If you've been on the fence about it, go do it. It would be great. And I would be very, very happy and appreciative. All right, let's talk about the Utah Jazz. Guys, there was a lot to say tonight. This game made me angry, honestly, at a lot of times. I'm actually coming down from like an inner rage at times watching this game. The first person I was really mad about, and I actually felt like he played one of his worst games I've seen in a long time, was Rudy Gobert. He saved it at the end with he broke up an alley-oop to Rashawn Holmes. And then he ran the floor and made a nice alley-oop dunk, made some big-time rebounds at the end of the game. Honestly, Rudy Gobert's last 5 to 6 minutes were better than every other minute he was on the floor because the effort before the end of the game was just not good enough. It just wasn't. Rudy looked slow. He looked lazy. He looked like he was not out there putting out an effort that you need to have to play against the Kings team that came out to win this game, honestly, and put out just a better effort. There were times where he was getting out rebounded by like Terence Davis and Davion Mitchell and all these smaller guards just getting the rebounds. Harrison Barnes, which is crazy because Rudy Gobert ended with the game with 20 boards. It's some of these games where you see those lines. I don't want to hear like, oh, Rudy Gobert had 17 boards and 20 rebounds. He's actually incredible. Yes, Rudy Gobert is an incredible player, and he truly is. To be out on the floor and play with that level of effort and still put up those numbers just shows how physically talented he is. He is so long and so big. But to be honest, when you're big like that and you play big and you're against a team like the Sacramento Kings, who are a small ball team, you're going to put up numbers. You absolutely are. But what impressed me the most from Rudy was those last 5 minutes, And people were complaining about calls for Gobert. And by the way, the referees in this game were putrid. Just terrible. Absolutely awful officiating. I don't know when we're going to get good officiating in the NBA, but it certainly wasn't tonight. And there was zero understanding of what a foul was going to be called, what wasn't, what flagrant, what's not. And we can talk about the Joe Ingles flagrant too. We'll talk about it in just a second. But Rudy Gobert's effort on the night is the reason he wasn't getting more foul calls, guys. When a referee sees a player like Rudy just kind of loafing it and just not putting up big effort, they're not going to bail you out. They're just not. That's not how NBA officials work. After years and years and years of covering this, if you think you're going to get saved by the ref, no way. No way. You're just not. But guess what happened? At the end of the game, Rudy Gobert makes like 2 big plays, 3 or 4 big rebounds, goes down, runs down, gets an alley-oop. The following play, one of the things that was happening all night, Rudy Gobert getting mauled inside, immediately, Rashawn Holmes gets fouled out. Immediately. It's not a coincidence, guys. If you want to get the benefit of the doubt from the officials, you've got to put the effort out there. You've got to be playing hard, because I honestly I think that there are referees and most referees, especially veteran ones, are not going to get punked by you, and they are not going to save you. I actually feel like that's one thing that NBA officials do on purpose, is just not bail out lackadaisical play. They just don't. You have to earn officials' respect, and sometimes that's lame, and sometimes that's the reason why NBA officials suck, is because of that respect factor, and why some players get more than others. I don't know. It sucks. But if you're not putting effort out there, you're not going to get effort from the refs, you know? So Rudy Gobert's effort would have gotten him more foul calls. And interestingly enough, and maybe it's just bias in Jazz fans, but Rashawn Holmes fouled out. He had 6 fouls. Terence Davis, 5 fouls. So, I mean, there were foul calls being called. I actually felt like there needed to be more. Alex Len, backup center, 4 fouls. There honestly should have been more, but Rudy's effort needs to be better. You can't turn it on at the end of the games like that and expect to win every night. Honestly, the Jazz won this game. I'm actually kind of surprised, you know, because Rudy Gobert is such a cornerstone of what they do. And that type of just lack of focus, it's hard to overcome. You know, it makes me wonder if Rudy made a late night trip to go see his girlfriend in LA and then drove back that same night. I don't know, because he looked slow and tired and not the Rudy we know. JT Wardell, Jazz had terrible defense until Rudy decided to be Andre Kirilenko at the end of the game. Exactly. At the end of the game is when they saved it. But you know what? You can't do this every night, Jazz. You can't. You can't play lackadaisical. You can't play going through the motions stuff. Honestly, guys, go watch the game again if you don't believe me. Go watch Rudy loafing it. It wasn't good enough effort, and it wasn't enough focus. You know, and the fact that he put up 17 and 20 is kind of nuts. Let's see. The Jazz need to stop turning the ball over. Joshua Hansen. By the way, shout out to the Hansons in the chat. And I agree, Joshua. Good name, my friend. You spell Hansen correctly, too, by the way. Kenny, what was with the Ingles getting ejected? Oh, yeah. I was going to talk about that. Guys, I know I'm probably in the minority here, but I was actually fine with the ejection. That was a lazy play by Joe Ingles. It really was. And it put Davion Mitchell in. I mean, Davion Mitchell's lucky he didn't break his leg. The way he fell, it was bad. You're just not going, they're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt on that. That was just a lazy play. He hip checked him in midair. And I don't care if it was like malicious or not. You can't hip check a guy midair. You can't. He was 3 feet off the ground and Joe Ingles hip checked him. That's terrible, guys. And the reason why I really hate that play from Ingles is because I remember being so pissed off at Paul Pierce like 5-6 years ago when he changed Alec Burks' career forever. You guys remember that play? It was just a lazy play. It's like the final season in Paul Pierce's stupid career. He hip checks Alec Burks in the air, and Alec Burks lands and breaks his leg. And it pissed me off. And I don't even think what's annoying is I don't think Paul Pierce was even ejected for that. I don't even think he got a flagrant. You know, it's a different era now, even 5 to 10 years ago. You can't hip check a player in midair. If that was Donovan Mitchell in the air and like Rashawn Holmes hip checked him and Donovan comes down and turns his ankle, I'd be pissed. You know? So Kings fans have every right to be pissed. Joe Ingles deserves to be ejected, in my opinion. You can't do that. You can't. It was just a lazy play. You know, it's just, and it was lackadaisical play from the Jazz for most of this night. Like, it was just kind of the tone the Jazz came into this game with, just kind of, oh, I guess and you know, and some people will say, well, Davion Mitchell changed mid-flight. I don't care. Don't hip check guys mid-flight, okay? That's an undercut. That's like a dirty play. It just is. Don't do it. You know, you wouldn't be apologizing 2 or 3 times after the play happened if you didn't know it was super sus, all right? It was not good. And I know Joe Ingles didn't intend to hurt him, and it looked for the most part just lazy to me. It's still a hip check in midair. Can't do it. You can't do it. You have to be more aware than that. You know, it's just not being engaged, guys. It's just not. You can't do that, and it costs your team. You know, and you can disagree. Let me know in the comments if you disagree, but I'm pretty much 100% agreement with refs on that one. You can't hip check that guy. No way. Let's see. We got to give a little bit of shout out to Bojan Bogdanovic. I was like terrified because at the beginning of the game, it looked like he literally had his shoulder separated on a foul from Rashawn Holmes, and the refs didn't call it. It was crazy, but he was grabbing his shoulder. It looked like a shoulder separation. It looked bad. Anyways, he plays in and shows how tough Bojan Bogdanovic is. Comes out, shoots 2 for 5 from 3, 5 for 11 from the field. The 3 turnovers from Bogey are what drive me kind of nuts. I don't know why we have so many plays with Bogey dribbling the ball. I don't understand it. I would much rather have Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, and like a Jared Butler or Joe Ingles handling the ball. You know, I'd rather have Bojan doing off-ball movements, cutting to the rim. There's just no cutting in the Jazz offense. There's just very, very little of that. And so I actually feel like that's something the Jazz could add so that Bojan Bogdanovic gets implemented better. It's just the way the Jazz do things. They just keep everything around the three-point line. Everything is like sideways rotations on the three-point line with the ball handler driving to the rim. There's just no cutting in this Jazz offense. And maybe that's because they have a rolling big. I don't know. I guess if we sat down with Quinn, he could explain why. But I just wish that there was less of Bojan Bogdanovic with the ball in his hands going to the rim and more of Bojan Bogdanovic as spot-up shooter, playing off the ball, cutting to the rim, doing things off of the Jazz ball handlers, because I think he's just better in that way. But Bojan Bogdanovic, you got to give him credit. The guy is tough, and he made some tough plays. Mike Conley had an interesting night. It kind of coincided with Rudy Gobert, who -9 for Rudy. At one point, Rudy was like a -13 in this game. It really was that end of game play where he swung the game and ended -9, a +4 swing where Rudy helped him win the game at the end. And Mike Conley's time on the floor kind of coincided with that. But Mike Conley had a solid night, 17 points. He was 50% from 3, 3 for 6 with 3 assists, 2 rebounds, and three steals. Solid night from Mike Conley. He's just so consistent, and it's really great. So, anyways, Mike Conley is just so solid, and it's so nice to have him. The thing is, the Jazz need to find a way to keep him healthy. I get actually the way I get worried about Mike Conley, wear and tear is actually on the defensive end. I feel like it's the defensive end where we might see wear and tear. It's not necessarily offensive. And so when you have Mike Conley, guarding, De'Aaron Fox and Davion Mitchell, guys who are young, quick, youngsters with energy, makes me nervous. But so far, so good for Mike Conley. I really hope he gets kind of an off day here soon. I wish Jared Butler would have played. By the way, Quinn Snyder, I think it was either today or yesterday, I think it was this morning during shoot-around, mentioned that he was annoyed by all the Jared Butler questions. Sorry, you're going to get more. You're going to get more from me. Jared Butler, that was the weird moment of the game. Weird moment of the game brought to you by manscaped.com was when Joe Ingles went out, and for some reason Quinn Snyder split 5 minutes between Mie Ione and Jared Butler. It's like, I don't know who to put in, so I'm just going to split it in 2. The King Solomon approach from Quinn Snyder. We have this baby. I don't know how to figure this out. Let's just cut the baby in half. That's what Quinn Snyder did. The King Solomon approach, I guess. What he should have done is just pick Jared Butler, to be honest, because the Jazz needed that playmaking on the floor, because that's what Joe Ingles brings. I swear the rotations from Quinn, and it's fine. Quinn's smarter than me, blah, 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 blah. But guess what? I feel like you should have a backup plan if one of your main guys is out. You should know who that 10th guy is. Instead, we have a rotation of like Mie Ione, Jared Butler, Trent Forrest, all these guys competing for this extra spot. You know what? Why don't we just pick a guy and believe in him for once? Okay? Is that possible? That would be nice. Let's just believe in our guy that we know is really awesome and let him go. Why? Why is it a 3-man rotation for the 10th spot? It's so bizarre to me. Looks like YouTube is kind of struggling a little bit, guys. Hopefully everyone's still there and enjoying the stream. But anyways, that was strange. And then Snyder goes with Trent Forrest later in the game. Trent Forrest, who actually had a nice little moment where he drove to the rim and kicked the ball out to an open Jordan Clarkson 3. By the way, Jordan Clarkson had a monster night tonight, and I want to talk about him as well. But then Jordan Clarkson does not guard Buddy Hield on the other end, and it gives up an open 3 to Buddy Hield. It was a big-time play. It was not good. I don't know why. But anyways, the moral of this was when Quinn Snyder said he was annoyed with the Jared Butler questions, there was no question that Trent Forrest was getting the nod. There was no question. That was about as predictable as anything. We got to talk about JC and then Kenny. Props to Eric Paschall. Yes, sir. JC might have won this game for the Jazz as well. JC came in and hit shots. And I know if you look at his box score, wasn't great. 31% from the field and 18% from three. Just was not hitting shots. And so, we shouldn't give, but he was -2 for the game, 15 points, and he hit some monster shots at the end. And honestly, sometimes I feel like Clarkson's numbers, where we're not the biggest fans of it, are because he's being put in impossible situations, having to hit shots when other guys aren't carrying the load like they should. So Jordan Clarkson deserves a ton of credit, and he made some nice defensive plays. Donovan Mitchell and Jordan Clarkson played great defense tonight, and it was a big part of why the Jazz won, honestly. And Donovan Mitchell's defensive effort was crazy good. Did we talk about Donovan Mitchell? I don't think we did. I'm losing my mind. I was so frustrated about the other things. Donovan Mitchell, 6 for 14 from the 3-point line tonight. He was the reason the Jazz won this game. Number one reason out of many. But Donovan Mitchell's pull-up three has become just an absolute lethal weapon. 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 27 points. He was a team-leading +18. Donovan Mitchell had 2 steals. His defensive effort is just palpable right now. It's actually really exciting. And the fact that he can do that pull-up three, when he's being guarded by Davion Mitchell, who's looking like an all-NBA defender, it's impressive. It's really impressive. And the driving to the rim without a plan, that will get better. Tonight Donovan struggled from 2, but from 3 he was lights out. The assists were great. He had a lot of guys missing shots that, like that 3 that Mike Conley missed, that open 3, that was an incredible pass from Donovan Mitchell after a nice defensive play. I mean, he just made plays tonight, guys. He was distributing. It was great. Was he perfect? No. The 2-point shot needs to improve, and he's got to figure out either to take that floater or pass it out, because just kind of stopping in the paint, that's no man's land. You're dead at that point. And some of that credit you've got to give to Davion Mitchell, who was really nice. Davion Mitchell was really nice tonight. But you know what? Donovan Mitchell's pull-up 3 to shoot 42% like that was absolutely incredible. And 27 points, just not a lot else you can say. Donovan Mitchell is just a superstar, and he was the reason the Jazz won tonight, because Rudy Gobert's effort for, 90% of this game was just not there. And he was having to figure things out with that going on. And, obviously Rudy Gobert turned it on at the end of the game, which is awesome. But Donovan Mitchell deserves all the credit and leadership for this game. He was fantastic. Fantastic. And finally, Eric Paschall. I have a feeling. I have a thought. And it is Halloween time. But did we see the ghost of Jay Crowder tonight? Did we see the spirit of Jay Crowder on the floor tonight? We might have. And it might have been Eric Paschall. Because he came and he made a defensive play. He hit a big 3. I haven't looked at his stats yet tonight. 1 for 2 from 3, 50%. 1 for 3 from the field. I liked it. He played 14 minutes, but I felt like those were solid 14 minutes where he was playing tough basketball. And this Jazz team needs defense. And if Eric Paschall can bring it, that's exciting. He probably doesn't play a lot once Rudy Gay comes back, but I am impressed with what we're seeing from Eric Paschall, and I am excited about the future of that guy, because if he can come in and play small ball 5, I really want to see a lineup on a night like tonight when Rudy was, struggling, or maybe you're playing against a team like the Clippers or something like that, who play like a 5-out lineup. It's exciting to think that Eric Paschall, 1, can be on the floor and contribute, and maybe play on the floor with like a, Rudy Gay, Eric Paschall, and those are your bigs. And then you have a mix of Donovan Mitchell and Royce O'Neal and whatever. And then you can switch everything. That's the lineup I really want to see. That's the lineup I want to watch, guys, because that's kind of a lineup that can help the Jazz get over the hump in a game like they had last year against the Sacramento Kings. Kenny, Mitchell had a rough night driving, but that drive and kick by him is so cool. I agree, Kenny. I feel like the drive stuff was not good. It just wasn't. He can do better. The percentages are just not there. But when he's driving and kicking, when he's doing his pull-up 3, and he's making it like he is, when he's dishing the ball, and then he's playing defense like he is, and rebounding. Mitchell had 5 rebounds tonight. Underrated rebounder, Donovan Mitchell. That's when he's just contributing at an elite level. And he'll figure it out. It's game 2. Mitchell gets better every year, and we've already seen him add some elements to his game this year. It's impressive stuff. Absolutely fantastic. Furby Jr., why did Q zap Jared Butler so quick in first half? Because Quinn Snyder is here to ruin my day, Furby. He's here to ruin my night. That's why. Makes me mad. He just makes me mad. You know, and everyone can say whatever they want, but you know what? All I'll say is, why did Matt Thomas play more than Elijah Hughes last year? I don't know. Because Quinn plays favorites, and sometimes it makes sense, and sometimes it doesn't. And, you know, your guess is as good as mine. 95% of the time, Quinn does things that I agree with and I think are awesome. And then there's that 5% where James is a curmudgeon, I guess, is what I would say. All right, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe. I've seen some people subscribe to the channel tonight. Welcome to the channel. If you're listening to this on the SLC Dunk podcast, you know what? Why don't you go subscribe and give a review and say something nice instead of what some people do. Some people say not nice things, and you know what? I actually don't really care. A comment's a comment. All right, let's give a shout out to our all-stars. These are the guys that make the buckets at the end of the game. These are the guys that do the hard things. Let's see. Oh, and we've got a new all-star tonight, it looks like. Joshua Hassan. Oh my goodness gracious. Yes, that is. I'm sorry, Joshua. All right, we got a new all-star, and guess what that means? We've got to come up with a nickname for Joshua Hassan. Let's see. What are we feeling tonight, guys? What are we feeling? I don't know if we have suggestions in the chat. Let's see. Spencer Simmons, 99 cents with the poop emoji. Hey, I'll take a poop emoji and 99 cents. Thank you, Spencer. I appreciate it. Hanson, spelling it right because Hanson with E. Guess what? All right, I got it. It's Joshua. I've got it. All right. I'm a Hanson. We all know my name, Hanson. And guess what? You spell it with an E, which means you spell it correctly. And Hanson with an E means that your descent comes from Denmark. Danish. The Danish Destroyer. Yeah. Let's call it Joshua Hassan, the Danish Destroyer. And I don't know if you're Danish descent or not, but that's what we're going with. All right, let's give a shout out. Joshua Hassan, the Danish Destroyer. Kelsey Hamer, the Hammer. And one, Anton Warren. Ezekiel Raisibe, the man from down under. JT Buckets Wardell. Austin R. Grant, editor extraordinaire. Eric C., the C stands for champion. Donald Schooley, schooling all of us. DW to CB. Darren Williams to Carlos Boozer. Jorge Arrizaga, mi amigo de abajo. Lee Christensen driving the lane. Just in time, H. Patrick Akubo, the connoisseur. Robert Hall of Fame. And DW Jazz going all the way. Guys, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to join the channel and support the channel, I would appreciate it. Or go buy yourself a Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0. I love mine. I used it today, and I don't even care. Plus, they've got deodorant. The boxer briefs are fantastic. Go buy a pair and save yourself some money with the promo code. It's great. Let's see. Anyways, guys, like and subscribe to the channel. I will talk to you